Hello and welcome to Historical Perspectives with Dawn Brodey. I'm Dawn Brodey. The history of the Whiskey Rebellion. I should have whiskey. Safety. Oh. It's my two favorite things, whiskey and rebellion. Oh my God, everything's so fucked, right? I know you subpoenaed me, but I'm not gonna go. Can our Constitution and our democracy survive this kind of... Well, I don't know. But I do know the story of the Whiskey Rebellion, and it's got a lot of lessons, and it goes like this. 1776, the beginning of the Revolutionary War. 1783... technically is the end of the Revolutionary War. We signed the Treaty of Paris, but it's not like everything just fell together. Between 1783 and 1789, which they called the Confederation. It wasn't the Confederacy, it was the Confederation. Anyway, it's the kind of a no man's land of American history in which it was like, oh, fuck. But all the states are kind of fighting over power. We're tits deep in debt from the war still. And we want to expand. Alexander Hamilton, your new best friend and mine, suggests everybody's favorite, a federal tax. So, but like taxes are touchy. We're kind of how we got into this pickle, right? So he talks to his friends, which is always a problem with government, right? He talks to the people who are his 12 friends, and he says, what do you guys think about a tax on whiskey? It's a luxury item. It's a vice. I think people will go for it. And his 12 friends went like, we love it. And so we went, the people love it. And they didn't love it. So it was a big problem. And everybody got mad. So our brand new spanking government sends tax collectors out there into Western Pennsylvania to get the whiskey tax that we've just made. So he's riding his horse out there to get the taxes. Folks catch wind of it, and 11 men dressed as women surround him, steal his horse, beat the shit out of him, and tar and feather him, guys. When I first heard about tarring and feathering, I thought it was kind of funny because it looked funny. You know, you see etchings of it, and it looks like a fella in a chicken suit. It's funny, but not funny. Tarring and feathering. Oh my God. They smother you in hot boiling tar, you guys, on your skin. It burns your skin, and your skin bubbles, and you can't get it up. And then the feathers are because they're sharp, and they itch, and you can't help but itch them, which means you push these sharp-ass feathers into your boiling skin. It wasn't usually lethal. A couple people died. This guy didn't die. But he didn't have a great time, and he recognized a couple of the fellas. And so when he got home, he was like, they can't do this, right? And they're like, yeah, for sure. So dude goes out there with a warrant to arrest a couple of guys, and they take his horse, and I don't remember if they tarred and feathered him, but they definitely tie him to a tree for 5 hours. And so he quits his job, and they still don't get those taxes. So... the federal government is in a bind, and oh, my boyfriend George Washington. I got a big heart on for George Washington. So tall and really fair. Oh, and he's one of the few great figures in history that declines absolute power when it's handed to him. Oh God, I could go on and on. In any event, he's at the helm, but this is a pickle. Him and John Adams and Hamilton are like, what do we do? And they were like, okay, let's try again. Try it again. So, dude named Lennox, who's a federal marshal, heads out there to Western Pennsylvania, and he thinks, I don't know what it is. We were strangers. So he teams up with this guy, Neville, who's like a wealthy landowner, and he's like, will you come with me? And then even if they're like, you're a tax collector, I'll be like, I know, but Neville's here. And they'll be like, okay. And that's not what happened. So these two, Neville and Lennox, go with their summons or whatever, their levy to get the taxes fella owes. And his name is William Miller. William Miller. And old Bill Miller says, eat a dick. Fuck you guys. Fuck you. Fuck your mother's. I mean, he is unambiguous about the fact that he's not going to pay the tax. And they're just two guys, so they're like, okay, we thought maybe we could. but we clearly can't. So they start to leave, and as they leave, a mob approaches them because they've heard the tax collectors are here. Ooh, howdy, they hate those guys. And so they meet them, and they're like, we hate tax collectors. We heard that y'all were dragging people out of their houses and tying them to the back of your horses and dragging them through the streets. And Neville and Lennox are like, I see. But as you can see, we don't have anybody dragging behind our horses. We didn't do that, and we'd like to go. And even an angry mob, was like, all right, we get it. Right. But they didn't stay calm. Later that night, they go to Neville's house. And they're like, hey, can we see the federal marshal for like a second? We just he is in danger. And of course, Neville's like, nah, get out of here. Gets into the thing. There's a gunfight. Neville fires on the crowd and kills a guy. A guy named Miller. Oliver Miller. I don't know if he was related to Bill Miller. In any event, he did. So, mob goes crazy. Neville rings a ding-a-ling-ling-ling, and his slaves, all armed, come out and chase off the mob. Who, don't exactly go, that was tough, but we learned our lesson, no more of that. No, they get very drunk, and now they got a dead guy, and they go back. In the meantime, this dude left. Neville has fled. He fled in like a ditch. And this guy, Kirkpatrick, who's also a federal marshal, who managed to scrounge up 10 federal soldiers to guard the house, is like, hey, and the mob's like, hi, us again. Ha! We want to fight. And Kirkpatrick is like, I know, right? But Neville's gone. It's just us and the 10 soldiers, so bye-bye. But they don't do that. They fight. They have a huge gun battle. And Kirkpatrick fights. And this guy, McFarlane, on the mob dies. More bloodshed. But at the end of the day, the 10 soldiers and Kirkpatrick are like, we don't even live here. What are we doing? And they dissolve, and it's over, and they burn everything down, and, right? That news gets to the federal government. And they're like, oh, Jesus. What are we going to do? We can't just have them not pay taxes and try to kill tax collectors. Oh, God. And then while they're figuring out what to do, this mob is starting to feel pretty fucking proud of themselves. And things are cooking. And the interesting new things are cooking because, like, the French Revolution started, right? France was our ally during the Revolutionary War, and they started their own thing, but it has just veered ever so slightly into guillotining the rich. And so some of these hicks out in western Pennsylvania who just really don't want to pay their whiskey tax are like, oh, we could also kill the rich. In any event, stakes are high. And this mob is getting meaner. And check this out, you guys. Early, you think we invented hacking? Check this shit out. This guy named Bradford. This guy named Bradford, who's rich, a wealthy landowner, steals all the mail going in and out of Pittsburgh. He was in the mob, and this is that attacked Neville's house, and this is like a week after that. He steals all the mail going in and out of Pittsburgh, and he reads it, and he finds out there's 3 guys in Pittsburgh who spoke unfavorably about the mob, the angry mob, burning this guy's house down. So he gets the mob, but even more mob together. You guys, listen to me. He gets 7,000 guys. Look it up. 7,000 guys to go to Pittsburgh to find these 3 guys that he stole their mail and saw they get the thing. Now, I've never been to Pittsburgh, but here's what I know from the rest of this story. I should go to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh hears there's 7,000 who? Right? I'm sorry, wow. So they think fast and send a delegation out to the gates of the city and says, hi guys, you know what? We know you're coming to get those 3 dickheads. Don't worry about it. They're gone. We banished them. They left because we hate them. So what are you guys gonna do now? I know you marched all this way. How about we bring you 7 barrels of whiskey while you figure out what to do next? And I know a lot of people would say, don't bring an angry mob 7 barrels of whiskey, but they would be wrong. But Pittsburgh was right. So the city of Pittsburgh goes one more and is like, God, you guys are the best. You know what you should do? Come on into town, parade, have a parade. Show everybody how fucking awesome you are. And then just go straight into town. And then when you get to the end of town, you just head out. Go home. And they did. They did exactly that. And now the federal government is like, okay, nope, no. We look like assholes. We gotta figure out what to do. But then, of course, right, our first major pickle is going to be them throwing our exact words right back at us, and it's going to be no taxation without representation. Oh, and we got to be like, you know, they said, we're going to have King George, and now we're going to have King George Washington. Ah, fuck, right? So George Washington, he does try. He's like, hey, guys, knock it off. And they were like, no. And he's like, I'm going to come with military. And they were like, fucking try it. Oh, so General George Washington puts on his old uniform. The blue one with the buttons. Everybody loves George Washington. When part of that no man's land of time between 1783 and 1789, part of like the only thread sometimes that we could hold is like, Jefferson's a fuck and Adams is a drunk and, you know, everyone's a bastard. I don't trust you and I don't trust you. But everyone did trust George Washington. He's their general and he's wearing the general's uniform. And he has 12,000 troops because he wasn't kidding. And he comes into town. He's like, where's the mob? And they're like, we don't know. And they don't, because there is no mob. They left, they heard, they saw, and they were like, mm-mm. They did arrest some guys. There were some people they found and they arrested and they brought them to trial and they were found guilty and would have been executed. But George Washington pardoned them because he is exceedingly fair. Listen, the story could end there. And you could say, oh, interesting. Wow, what perspective. You know, what that really shows is that if you just set clear boundaries and show force at the right time, everybody just calms the fuck down. But that's not what happened because they never really started paying those taxes. You know, because remember that story I told you about the tar and feathering? Of course you do, because you don't forget tarring and feathering once you've heard it. Hey, welcome to the job, new tax collector. Here's what we need you to do is head out there to Western Pennsylvania and get the tax, and they wouldn't. They either wouldn't go or they wouldn't get, they never paid those taxes. And it doesn't matter because we know we had Washington twice and then John Adams, and then John Adams lost to Jefferson, who repealed all those taxes because that was part of his platform. So it never really came push to shove. Or did it? Hello, 2019. We're still fucking... Anyway, here's the lesson. Whiskey is good. Period. Definitively and demonstrably good. A. B. Pay your taxes. Unless you shouldn't. And then just don't. This has been Historical Perspectives with Dawn Brodey. I'm Dawn Brodey.